Hello and welcome. Here we got the VP37 Bosch injection pump. First of all, we never did this was to check with the DTI gauge the stroke on the Freelander cam plate. So we use a 12mm ring spanner to undo the bolt to screw in the extension for the DTI gauge. So we take out the nuts. A little bit of diesel is coming out, but it is normal. And the plug bolt looks different in comparison to the SD pump head. Now we use the adapter and screw it in. Like this. And we use an Allen key, a small one, to hold and stabilize the DI gauge inside the extension barrel. We have also to set up a little bit of press stroke to the gauge. 1 or 2 millimeters is enough. So we have to zero out the gauge, and we have to look where the cam plate lobe is in bottom position. We feel the bottom spot when the needle doesn't move any further up or down. There is the bottom line. So we zero it out, and now we may turn the pump into maximum stroke position. 0.5 millimeters of lift, 1 millimeter, 2 millimeters, 2.7 around, 2.8, 2.9 millimeters, 3 millimeter, 3.2, and 3.3 3.32 millimeters is the maximum lift on the Freelander VP37. And as you can see here, the maximum lift of 3.32 millimeters. Next we will try to rotate the pump. I move it forward, and whoops, one stroke occurred. And once again this 1 millimeter, 2 millimeters, and 3 millimeters, 3.32 millimeters of lift on this couplet from the Freelander. And so the next step will be to check how far the piston plunger moves on top of the 10 millimeter high pressure head, and we'll check the gap between the top position and piston plunger. And to get the main hole plug assembly out, we need this special triangular socket. And we just need bigger guns.
Yep, it worked. It worked. Finally. This plug looks the same like the SD one. Plug.
So now let's have a look and measure the K factor. Bosch applies that the K spec for the 10 millimeter head on the VP37 from the Freelander should be around 3.6 to 3.8 millimeters of lift. We make sure that the cam plate is in the lowest position. and we measure here 3.75 millimeters of lift, so everything is good and all is in spec. Now let's turn the pump to the maximum stroke position, and it's almost even, to be honest. There's almost no space left or no gap left between the sealing surface of the plug and the plunger piston top position point. And now if we measure it, we have around 0.3 millimeters of gap, so that's not huge. Now let's put in back the plug. And I think I'm going to reuse the Freelander plug on the 11mm SD head. And torque spec for the plug is, I think, 60 or 70 Newton meters. Can't remember it correctly for now. Here we have a short comparison.
This is the SD plug bolt. This is the Freelander end plug bolt. And I now also see the difference. Why is it so? Because the SD plug uses a washer. There is a washer inside. Uses this washer, and the it goes here and is screwed here back in.
And the Freelander does not use any washer because the cone surface here acts like a washer surface and it seals up the area on the end plug. So that's the main difference, and I will reuse the Freelander end plug for the SD head for sure.
But before I change the head, I'll change also the gaskets. This is the part number.
I have unbolted the hex screws already because I had difficulties to get them out, but luckily they came loose and I don't have to cut them.
And yeah, and I will change this bolt, this hex bolt, to Allen key bolts, also 10.9, so it will be easier in the future to change them, because I hate hex bolts, and this strip, it sucks. So let's get this out. This is up. Old gasket. No longer will be needed. Them here back in. Clear this area. So I had to recheck this, how the old gasket was in, and it was like this, with the doomed surface against the housing, so like this. Bring on this, clear it a little bit up, and like this, like the old ones. So use new Allen keys, well, 10.9. Thread them first by hand. Where's the Allen key? Here's the Allen key. They are snug, and now I tie them further in cross pattern way, and they will be loose. Yep. Just don't over tighten them. Make them tight. It will be good. Yep. They're all tight. It's good. And same goes for the other side. You will also change the gasket. Try to hammer it down. Yep. Let's go. Done really well. Side. Yep. It wasn't all too tight, luckily. Diesel is coming out. You have to pay attention because there's a spring inside. There's a spring. With the cover, there's a shim inside, so don't lose them. It's fine. There's a spring. We may measure spring. Spring is 51 millimeters. Yep, 51 millimeters exactly. Here this is also strange because there's a groove. Because on these D pumps you have here a groove for an O-ring, which does not appear in the Freelander pump, and this was like this way. Clean this here also up a little bit. Surface.
And here is the part number for the new gasket on this side.
With the doomed surface against the housing. I mean, it's hard to tell because, nope, incorrect. Doom housing, the doom surface goes against the housing. This is a metal gasket. The older one had rubber on it. Put them back inside. And yeah, pay attention that this side of this groove up here goes on the top of the pump. Check if the gasket is inside, the shim is inside. Try to use these bolts a little bit longer. So not that difficult. and tight. And a cross button way.
Now it's time to take out the SD 11mm head.
Here we have the SD pump where I'm taking the head. And one trick is how to get the head very easily out. Is to use this kind of normal bolts, cut the head and use them like guiding pins. So we screw them here in. And now it is very easily to take the head out. Unscrew it evenly till it pops out. One is loose, one is also loose.
And now pay attention that nothing falls out when you lift up the head.
And there you have it. There's the head. There is motor oil inside, so it's a bit messy. Yeah. So I have taken now the Freelander pump apart. Looks like this inside. You have the car number 243. SD pump looks like this. SD head as the springs. It's on the Freelander springs. And as we see, the Freelander spring is higher, around 1 coil. Freelander head, I've put already the both springs for the SD pump. Here's a quick comparison. Freelander 10mm piston, SD 11mm piston, and VP30 piston. It's completely different, as we see here. So way bigger, should deliver more. If we compare the height, they are the same. They are the same. Left, this one is the Freelander, and this here is the SD one. Filling grooves are way bigger on the SD one than on the 10mm Freelander, so it should deliver more fuel. And from the top it looks like this. Also, another strange thing is that last time I measured 2.3 millimeters of cashim thickness. This now is the Freelander original shim, and it is 2.5 millimeters thick. And this was in the SD one. This one is 2.3 millimeters. Very strange. Okay, the K factor for SD is around 3.2 to 3.4 millimeters, and the Freelander is 3.6 to 3.8 millimeters K factor. So the 2 millimeters, 2.5, 3.3, 2 millimeters, 0.2 millimeters. Sorry, 0.2 millimeters. It is thicker, so it makes sense, to be honest. I will check. I will now use the Freelander K factor. So with the Freelander K shim on the bigger 11mm head. Also, next odd thing is that on the Freelander spring guiding pins, these ones, there is no shim here inside. So this upper mounting shim, but there is no shim in between, like on the SD one here. You have 1, 2, and 3. And I will use the shim. This goes here. This one goes in between. Oops. This, like this.
Now this is the VP37 with the SD head, and then turn the pump to the maximum lift position. And now with the 2.5mm Freelander K shim, we have a K factor of 3.2mm, if we still in spec for the SD pump, which is in the range of 3.2 to 3.4 millimeters. And here you cannot feel any gap, it's very flat and even. Maybe 0.1 millimeters at best is the gap in between these two parts. I use a little bit of grease on the small springs and on the guiding pins to hold them in place when I put the head back into the pump. I put also the big springs already inside the pump. And now with these guide pins, it is very easy to slide back on the head on the pump, like so. And just make sure that the guide pins match up with the big springs inside the pump.
Zack. And it's in.
Now put back in the screws. Screw them slowly down till the head starts to be bolted down. And then remove the guide pins.
Put back the other screws inside and we are done.
And the major key factor here, to screw it in a cross pattern way and with just 1 or 2 turns on each screw to screw the head evenly against the pump. And on the last step, use a ratchet to bolt down the head to spec. So this is it. The Frankenpump is ready for installation. Thanks for watching. See ya.